Daniel chapter 7, the end of the world and the Antichrist. It looks as if the vision of Daniel is talking about the four kingdoms of his time, which were the Babylonian Empire, the lion, the Persian Empire, the bear, the Greek Empire, the leopard, and finally the Roman Empire. But this is not true, because the four kingdoms which the prophecy talks about are close to the time of the end, when the Ancient of Days shall sit on the judgment seat. And since the end did not take place after the Roman Empire, it simply means that the prophecy is talking about countries other than those of Daniel's time, kingdoms whose appearance is close to the time of the end and the judgment day. So let us see what is happening in our time and if it agrees with what the prophecy talks about. Daniel said, I saw in a vision by night, and behold, the four winds of heaven strove over the great sea, and four great beasts came up out of the sea, different from each other. The great sea represents all the people of the world, and the four winds of heaven represent the four dimensions, that is, the time and space of the end, because the prophecy is talking about the time of the end and where it's taking place. It deals with the time sequence of the events and the rise of four kingdoms that precede the end, but it symbolizes them with four great beasts. So Daniel in the prophecy describes, the first was like a lion and had eagle's wings. Then I looked till its wings were plucked off, and it was lifted up from the ground and made to stand upon 2 feet like a man, and a man's heart was given to it. The first beast, which is like a lion and has eagle's wings. This represents the British Empire, whose emblem is the lion, which stands on 2 feet. The British Empire has ruled most parts of the world and was known as the empire from which the sun never sets. It had ruled the world with vanquish, brutal might, and aggression, till it finally disintegrated and vanished. But today's Britain talks about human rights and democracy. Then Daniel describes, behold, a second beast, which looks like a bear, and it raised itself on one side, and it had 3 ribs in its mouth between its teeth, and it was told, arise, devour much flesh. The second beast, which is like a bear and has 3 ribs in its mouth. This represents the Soviet Union, whose emblem is the Russian bear. So Russia, the polar bear, did rise on one side of the world, and the 3 ribs in its mouth are 3 countries whose uprisings and revolutions were crushed by the Russian tanks, and these were the Hungarian Revolution of 1956, the Polish and the Afghan rebellions. That is why it was told to devour much flesh, that is, the flesh of the mass of people who were killed. Then Daniel goes on, after this I looked, and lo, another like a leopard, with 4 wings of a bird on its back, and the beast had 4 heads, and dominion was given to it. The third beast, which is like a leopard, which has 4 heads and 4 wings on the bird's back, this represents Hitler's Germany, which emblem used to be a 4-winged eagle, and which was later on changed by Hitler to the swastika. The beast is compared to the leopard because of its vast conquests and invasions. The 4 heads of the beast represent Germany and its partners in World War II, that is, Germany, Japan, Italy, and Romania, which joined the war alongside Hitler from 1941 till 1944. Then Daniel continues and says, after this I saw in the night vision, and behold, a 4th beast, dreadful and terrible and exceedingly strong, and it had great iron teeth. It devoured and broke in pieces and stamped the rest with its feet. It was different from all the beasts that were before it, and it had 10 horns. I considered the horns, and behold, there came up among them another horn, a little horn, before which 3 of the first horns were plucked up by the roots. And behold, in this horn were eyes like those of a man, and a mouth speaking with great things. Then Daniel goes on, I, Daniel, my spirit within me was anxious, and the vision of my head troubled me. I approached one of those who stood there, and I asked him the truth concerning all this. So he told me, and made known to me the interpretation of the things. These 4 beasts are 4 kings who shall arise out of the earth. But the saints of the Most High shall receive the kingdom and possess it forever and ever. Then I wanted to know the truth about the 4th beast, which was different from all the rest, exceedingly dreadful, and whose teeth were of iron, and his claws of copper, and which devoured and broke in pieces, and stampled the rest with its feet. And concerning the 10 horns that were on its head, and the other horn which came up, and before which 3 of them fell, the horn which had eyes and a mouth that spoke great things, and which seemed greater than his fellows. As I looked, this horn made war with the saints and prevailed over them, until the Ancient of Days came, and the judgment was given to the saints of the Most High, and the time came when the saints received the kingdom. Thus he said, As for the 4th beast, it shall be the 4th kingdom upon earth, which shall be different from all other kingdoms, and shall devour the whole earth, and shall tread it down, and break it in pieces. As for the 10 horns, out of this kingdom 10 kings shall arise, and another shall arise after them. He shall be different from the former ones, and shall subdue 3 kings. And he shall speak great words against the Most High, and shall wear out the saints of the Most High, and shall think to change the times and the law, and they shall be given into his hand for a time, 2 times, and half a time. But the court shall sit in judgment, and his dominion shall be taken away, to be consumed and destroyed to the end. And the kingdom and the dominion and the greatness of the kingdoms under the whole heaven shall be given to the people of the saints of the Most High, whose kingdom is everlasting kingdom, and all dominion shall serve and obey him. The 4th beast, which is dreadful, terrible, and exceedingly strong, which has iron teeth and copper claws. This represents the United States of America, which is exceedingly powerful. America entered World War II alongside Britain and against Hitler. But the true result of the war was that the United States of America won the war against all those who participated in it, except for the Soviet Union. Germany and its partners, the Leopard, lost the war and became Americans and Russian colonies. They have all been subject to the American economical power and mercy, and that included Britain itself, where the Americans keep till today air forces and atomic rocket bases. So the British Empire, from which the sun never used to set off, today is but an obedient economical follower and the first defender of the American interests all over the world, whether right and just or false and totally unjust. Finally, the Soviet Union, the Russian bear, which came as a victor of World War II and ruled the world together with the United States of America for a few years, and in spite of its apparent might has finally joined the countries which are subject to the mercy of the American economical influence. And what is happening nowadays to the states and countries which were part of the Soviet Union is but a strong proof that the 4th mighty beast, America, has devoured and broken to pieces the previous 3 beasts, that is, Britain, Germany and its partners, and the Soviet Union, and stamped and trampled over them with its feet. In short, Britain the lion, Germany, Japan, Italy and Romania, the leopard with 4 wings and 4 heads, and the ex-Soviet Union, the bear, all are subject to direct and indirect American influence, be it economical or otherwise. Then the angel says to Daniel, the 4th beast is different from all before it. It shall devour the whole earth, break it into pieces, and trample all over it. And this is exactly true, for all the countries and empires which rose before America used to occupy and rule their colonies with direct military might and oppression. But this is not the case with America, because one day it was a colony itself, and it was ashamed in the beginning to be an imperialistic occupying power. But it gradually changed to become a new kind of imperialistic power. It followed an indirect way of colonizing others. It simply followed the economical method to colonize others, and if money and economy did not do the trick, it would then put its military might in action and use its nuclear muscles to to protect the human rights all over the world. That means it shows no mercy in protecting the American interests all over the world. And in this way, all countries of the world fell under Americans' might, power, influence, and mercy. And it has devoured the whole world and trampled all over it. And alas, still more will come. And woe for him with whom America is not satisfied. Then Daniel describes the fourth beast and says, the fourth beast has 10 horns, and a little one came up among them, which subdues 3 of them. In fact, these 10 horns are 10 countries, which directly or indirectly belong to America, the fourth beast. These countries were previously part of the British Empire, but their control and their indirect ownership changed hands, and it was passed over to America when the British Empire was weakened. These countries have official apparent independence, and all of them became members of the United Nations in 1948 or before that, and they are 1. Egypt and the Sudan, 2. Iran, 3. Iraq, 4. Lebanon, 5. Saudi Arabia, 6. Syria, 7. Turkey, 8. Afghanistan, 9. Pakistan, and 10. The Yemen. And the small little horn that grew between them in 1948 and which subdued 3 of the 10 horns is the state of Israel, which became a member of the United Nations in 1949. Yes, it was this little horn, Israel, which humbled and humiliated the 3 of the 10 horns, which were Egypt, Lebanon, and Syria, whose lands were occupied and annexed through Israel military force, which seems greater than those of the 10 horns around it. When Daniel says, the little horn has eyes and a mouth that spoke great things, this means the beast that shall ascend from the bottomless pit, that is the Antichrist, shall appear in Israel, the little spoiled horn of America, and shall make war against all Christians and Jews, and with America itself, and they shall be given into his hand for a time, 2 times, and half a time, that is, for 3.5 years. He shall burn America with fire, because the prophecy says, the beast was slain, and his body destroyed, and given over to be burned with fire. But the rest of the beast's countries, which are the lion, Britain, the leopard, Germany, Japan, Italy, and Romania, and the bear, Russia, and the remains of the Soviet Union, their dominion will be taken away, but their lives will be prolonged for a season and a time, that is, for a year and a bit after America is burned with fire. These 10 countries, 10 horns, have not yet taken the kingdom and control over the world, but they shall take power like kings for a short time, and they will be of the same opinion. They will give the power and authority to the beast that ascends from the bottomless pit until the word of God is fulfilled. And Daniel continues and says, as I was looking, thrones were placed, and one who was ancient of days took his seat. His raiment was white as snow, and the hair of his head like pure wool. His throne was like the fiery flames, and his wheels as burning fire. A stream of fire issued and came forth before him. 1,000 thousands served him, and 10,000 times 10,000 stood before him. The court sat in judgment, and the books were opened. Because of the sound of the great words which the horn spoke, I kept looking till the beast was slain, and his body destroyed and given over to be burned with fire. As for the rest of the beasts, their dominion was taken away, but their lives were prolonged for a season and a time. I saw in the night vision, and behold, with the clouds of heaven there came one like a son of man, and he came to the Ancient of Days, and was presented before him, and to him was given dominion and glory, and the kingdom, that all people, nations, and languages should serve him. His dominion is everlasting dominion, which shall not pass away, and his kingdom shall not be destroyed. When Daniel says, with the clouds of heaven there came one like a son of man, and the saints of the Most High shall receive the kingdom forever and ever. This means, after the terrible persecution and tribulation, Christ will come on the clouds of the heaven, and the court shall sit in judgment, and the Antichrist dominion shall be taken away, and the dominion and the kingdom shall be given to the saints of the Most High, and the kingdom of Christ shall last forever and ever. He shall establish the new world order, a world without death, pain, suffering, or sorrow. Nothing like the American Illuminati New World Order of the intelligent and stupid bombs and the atomic bombs which fell and are still falling on towns and people and their countries. And when Daniel describes the little horn and says, "He shall speak words against the Most High, and shall wear out the saints of the Most High, and shall think to change the times and the law." This is exactly what Antichrist will do. He will claim that he is Jesus Christ himself, and that he is the Son of Mary, and not the Son of God. He shall speak blasphemies against God, and wear out the Christians and the Jews. And whoever follows his mission up will come to think that he is changing the times and the laws of God. He shall refuse the crucifixion, saying that he is the Christ himself, and that he was never crucified. He shall accuse the Christians and the Jews of deforming and changing the Old and the New Testaments, that is, the laws of God, which he will change and restyle to suit his purpose of mankind destruction. He will try to take away from them the only mighty weapon they have against him, and that is the crucifixion and the blood of the Son of God. The Antichrist mission will last for 3.5 years, which is equal to the period that Christ took to complete his mission. Antichrist mission will only end when Jesus Christ comes back in his glory to put an end to the Antichrist and his followers. Finally, Daniel says, "The fourth beast had teeth of iron and claws of copper." This is exactly true of America, which is controlled by the Illuminati and the Zionist lobbies, who control the whole world through directing Americans' policies, and they are described in the Old Testament as being of iron and copper, as we see in Jeremiah chapter 6, item 26. "O daughter of my people, gird on sackcloth and roll in ashes. Make mourning for as only son, most bitter lamentation, for suddenly the destroyer will come upon us. I have made you an asir and tester among my people, that you may know and assay their ways. They are all stubbornly rebellious, going about their slanders. They are copper and iron. All of them are corrupt." Also in Isaiah chapter 48, the first item. "Hear this, O house of Jacob," that is the Jews, "who are called by the name of Israel, and who came forth from the lions of Judah, who swear by the name of the Lord, but not in truth or righteousness. For they call themselves of the holy city, and stay themselves upon the God of Israel, whose name is the Lord of hosts. I have declared the former things from the beginning. They went forth from my mouth, and I made them known. Then suddenly I made them, and they came to pass. Because I know that you are obstinate, and your neck is an iron sinew, and your forehead copper." From above we see that the words iron and copper are used to describe the Jews, because they become good believers, but their faith usually rusts and fades away as time goes by. So after Britain, Germany, Russia, and America sequential times, we shall witness the coming of the Antichrist, who will appear in Israel, and he shall speak blasphemies against God, and will bring about the great tribulation against the Jews and the true Christians who believe in the Son of God and his salvation and his crucifixion. And finally, here are the days of the membership of the 10 countries, 10 horns, which the prophecy talks about in the United Nations. 1. Egypt and Sudan. 2. Iraq. 3. Iran. 4. Lebanon. 5. Saudi Arabia. 6. Syria. 7. Turkey. They all became members of the United Nations in 1945. 8. Afghanistan became member in 1946. 9. Pakistan, and 10, the Yemen, became members in 1947. And finally, the 11th horn, Israel, became member in 1949. Thank you.